Good morning, everyone. Welcome to day 143 on the Appalachian Trail. Today is Thursday. I hope everyone's having a great day. Getting close to the weekend for everyone. We are in Lincoln, New Hampshire. I am at the hotel waiting on mom and dad to get here. The hotel let me stay. I stayed in the room till 11. Now I'm just in this little gazebo they have, waiting for my parents to get here. I gotta go when they get here. I got a few things I'm at to do. I have to go through all the stuff that they're bringing, stuff my cousin Amy took for me back in Hot Springs, North Carolina, which was a long time ago, like mile, I don't know, 300 or something like that, probably even further back than that. But that's most of my cold weather stuff. And then my parents have my quilt they took from, I gave them when I went to Harper's Ferry, when I flew home to Ormond. So they've had that ever since. I've just had a little thin sleeping bag liner. It has not cut it at all. I've been so cold the past few nights. So yeah, I got to go through all that stuff. And I have to do a reset. I need to go through my list. I'm starting to do that in my head for resupply. I have to look at the map. There's a few places you can get off while you're through the whites, but not a lot. It's not easy. And that's what we're fixing to start. And basically they're called the whites. I'm assuming because you're through White Mountain National Forest or something like that. That's what we're going to be starting up basically tomorrow. We'll be going up towards, tomorrow we'll be doing the Kinsmans, I believe, or at least heading to them. And then once we get past that, we'll be going towards Mount Lafayette, and that'll be hitting up Franconia Ridge. The bad news is this is going to be during the weekend. That's the one thing I was really hoping not to do. You know, if the weather's nice, it's a very high trafficked area. One guy who did it a few weeks ago basically said it was like Gatlinburg but worse, the Newfound Gap area, because when I was there it was ridiculous with day hikers. It is what it is. I honestly, at this point, as long as the weather's nice, that's the most important. The only thing that concerns me, having a bunch of day hikers and overnight hikers don't really bother me. What bothers me is you're limited on where you can stay up here because you can't stay above tree line. So you really have to pay attention to your mileage so you don't overdo it. The huts that they have are ridiculously expensive. You're talking like $200 a night or something. Even the shelters, there's a thing you can pay the caretakers. It's like $15, but you still have to pay like $10 each night you want to stay, unless you get this pass for a thru hiker. It discounts it to like $5, but that's any tent site or shelter that you stay at. And if the shelters are full, I personally don't care to stay in the shelters. I'd rather sleep in my tent. I'm more comfortable. I have my own privacy. The problem is there's not always a lot of tent sites. But even at the tent sites, you still have to pay the $5. So, you know, everybody's got to make their money somehow. It's ridiculous. But it is what it is, part of the rules. So, yeah, you can do work for stays at the huts, but it's for the rich people. And I'm not going to go and clean up a bunch of stuff. And yeah, I don't know. It's just not, whatever. There are other hikers who need that. I'm not doing it. So I got to look at my map and figure that out. As long as the weather's nice, like yesterday I got very frustrated just because it was a almost 10-mile day, very, difficult hike. The hike itself didn't bother me, coming down did. There was a part of the video I actually did not include in the last video because of my language. I was just aggravated, frustrated. I'd already fallen 4 times. I thought I broke my trekking pole. I was just very aggravated. I was tired. The weather was crap. It was cold, super windy. I got even colder because I was sweating, but when I got to the top, it was cold. So I put this hoodie on But the problem is putting my backpack on, like all the sweat soaked into it. So then when the wind was hitting, I was getting even colder. So it definitely sucked, but it's all part of the game. Did finally make it down the mountain. Got to see Boots, the awesome little corgi puppy. She is so much fun, just a ball of energy. They are team Boots. The husband, he's the husband and wife, and Boots the dog were started off on the trail. When it got really hot out, about the time like Harper's Ferry or so, even before that, like about the Shenandoahs, Mom had stopped hiking with Boots. So what she does is she does support for her husband. So he's continuing on the trail, and then they basically like car camp or camp wherever and campgrounds and stuff. So she just follows along with the dog in the car. And then sometimes she'll provide trail magic for the hikers. So that was cool. She had chips and cookies and snacks, beer, twisted teas. All I got was a Pepsi. I just wanted a soda by the time I got down. So I had a nice cold Pepsi. That was great. Thank you again, guys. That was awesome. Boots, I love seeing you out on trail. I used to have a corgi. Awesome little dog. So much fun. So, and it was great to play with Boots. Why I waited and finally got a shuttle to Lincoln to the hotel. So, a couple things I learned. One, there's no Uber or Lyfts out here. Maybe in some of the other towns, maybe Gorham might have them, I don't know. But you're basically limited. Basically, in this town, there's almost like a taxi service that's a shuttle. I didn't have the number. I was fortunate that while I was sitting there playing with Boots, I see a hiker getting dropped off, and I saw a number on the side of the van, and I went up to it and asked the guy, what's the deal? Could he take me to town? He said, sure, $10. That's fine, because it was like 8 miles to hike into town, or 6 miles. I wasn't going to do that on a busy road. So, said my goodbyes to them. Got in the shuttle. He had to pick up another hiker from the Notch. It's a hostel right down the road. Take them into town, and then he brought me here. Got his number, in case I needed him again. Got to the hotel, got checked in, whatnot, and find out not only do they not have Uber or Lyft, they don't have DoorDash. No DoorDash. This is the first town I've been into some country bumpkin towns that I've stayed in. They at least had DoorDash. They don't even have that here. So, and no restaurants that deliver. In fact, DoorDash, the only thing that you could, all the couple restaurants on there that were like Subway, another restaurant, you could do pickup. You just ordered through the DoorDash. It was stupid. Why would you pay a fee to do that? Anyway, aggravated. I mean, there was a pizza place about a mile up the road. I wasn't willing to walk. When you've been hiking all day, and yesterday was a long day. I mean, you're talking, it was 5 miles up. Elevation went up to 4,800 feet, I think. We started off at like 1,000. And then 4.5 miles down the mountain, and it was just rocks and boulders. Like the trail didn't get easy coming down until probably the last quarter mile. Easily. That's probably the only time it got somewhat easier. It is what I knew it was going to be harder up here. I guess it just kind of hit me on a bad day. Anyway, so I called the shuttle guy. He took me to the grocery store. I just grabbed some things and was like, I'll make my own dinner in my room. I got a microwave, good to go. Oh, and look at there. Mom and Dad just pulled up. So at least I think that's them. So anyway, yeah, I'm going to meet with them. Got to go over my stuff. And then we have to, I need to go see about exchanging my socks. And going to have to go to the grocery store and get some things. So anyway, guys, I'm going to say hi to them, and I will see you all a little later. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to day 144 on the Appalachian Trail. Had a great day yesterday. It was a 0 day for me, much needed after the hiking. I got to see my parents. They came and brought me my cold weather stuff and got some new shoes and some new socks. So the outfitter in town has the Darn Tough exchange for the socks. So that was really awesome because I had holes in 2 pairs of my socks. I know people had mentioned something about wanting to send socks in the past, but I wasn't too worried about it just because I have Darn Tough, and Darn Tough has a lifetime warranty. So if you wear the socks out, you either contact them and they'll send you a new pair, or you basically find a retailer that has the Darn Tough exchange. I mean, I brought the socks, they didn't even want to see the holes in them. So I didn't even have to take them out of the bag. They basically just told me to go pick out 2 pair that were similar. So that's what we did. And we're able to, have 2 new pairs of socks, which is awesome because I needed them. Like I said, I was down to 1 last pair that didn't have holes in them around by my heel, which were starting to cause issues with my feet. So I was basically wearing 1 pair, and they're so stretched out that they were just a pain in the butt. So those are going to be my camp socks now. I'll just wear them when I go to sleep. The other 2 pairs, those will be what I finish out the hike in. So yeah, met with my parents. They took me to do that, took me to a great lunch, help me get a little small resupply, brought me my cold weather stuff. My pack is, as you see, it's a little bulkier, it is heavier. I can definitely feel it, but you know what? We have our warm weather stuff, so we're not gonna freeze at night anymore, hopefully, because it's the higher elevation, and looks like there's a little cool front moving in on Monday, so temperatures are gonna be cold. I've been keeping an eye. Mount Washington is going to be coming up in a few days. I've been keeping an eye on the weather. They have their own weather station up there. Basically every day it's been in the 40s up there for the past few days. So winds roughly 25, 35 miles an hour. So I was glad I got my cold stuff. Tonight, trying to make it to this one campground. You basically have to pay going forward at the campgrounds, but they do have a little program for thru hikers. It's like 10 bucks, and basically any of the shelters or anywhere you stay after that is $5. They have huts you can stay at or do a work for stay. The huts are expensive. They're like $100 at least a night. It's basically like a hostel. I'm not doing that unless the weather just got really bad. So we got a steep climb coming up. We're getting close to Franconia Ridge. We're gonna hit that tomorrow. It looks like. I thought about trying to push, but I don't want to push too much because it's a big gap between camping, a big gap between water. So there's, right before I hit that, there is a campsite I'm gonna stay at. It is bear active, so I know there was a hiker that had a bear basically kind of put its paw right through the hiker's tent about a month and a half ago or so. So I don't know if they've taken care of that or not. We'll see. But I'm gonna try to get there a little early. Apparently they can hold a lot of people there. So I don't know how it's gonna work because I have a trekking pole tent, and they have wooden tent stands that you set your tent up on. So it's hopefully if there's some rocks, I can make it work. And it is a little windy, so I don't know. We're gonna see. Other than that, there is the water thing too. Is definitely a situation up there. So there's water at the campsite, and then there's not water again for like 11 miles or something like that. 8 miles. So until you basically the whole ridge, Franconia Ridge, you're above tree line. So I don't want to try to push it to get through that tonight. That would be a little too much. And I don't want to get stuck up there in the dark. I guess with the My friend Aaron sent me something. I guess there's a black moon later tonight, so it's going to be super dark. So yeah, I think I'm just going to make it to that campsite. We'll just finish a little early today. That'll be fine. No big deal. You know, it's the name of the game is not to rush, especially now, you know, and try to do something stupid and hurt myself. And plus, you know, I know when you get up top, there's no trees for markings. It's pretty much the rocks. So I don't want to take a risk on it. So yeah, that's the game plan tonight, and hopefully it looks like it'll be a little cloudy tomorrow, so not going to be as nice of a day as it is today. It's gorgeous out today. But hopefully for Anconia Ridge, we get some great views, even with it being cloudy. I'm going to try to get an early start. That's been one of the main places that like I fell in love with when I first started watching other thru hiker videos. So I'm really hoping to have a good day there. We do have, like I said, rain coming. Right now it's showing Monday, mostly rainy day. So that might be a day we don't do a whole lot of hiking. Definitely don't want to try to get up to Mount Washington and that. So we're just gonna have to play it by ear and see. So, all right, guys, well, I'm gonna keep pushing on. Took a little break, so I will get with you guys a little later. Bye. Good afternoon. So today's mostly been a climbing day. Tomorrow is going to be hopefully our view day. Yeah, we've been going up this for like 2 miles. And it's it keeps going way down there. So yeah, not as bad as Moosilauke, but I mean, when you're going from 1,100 foot elevation up to 4,000 foot, it's just up. So, you know, none of these mountains have switchbacks. It's just you climbing up, and I had heard about that, about the whites. So it's true, just going up. The only good thing is we got less than a mile, and there's a tent spot. We have to pay to stay there. Pretty much all the shelters or the tent sites around here, we're gonna have to pay. They do have a pass for hikers, so I think I talked about that. I'll probably just grab that, and then because the problem is anything after this is above tree line ridge walk, so I'm not trying to cut that. It's already 3 o'clock. By the time I finish getting up, you know, that's not leaving a whole lot of daylight left not to be able to finish and get to the next shelter. So we'll just get an early start in the morning. We'll get finish early today. relax, set up our tent, and then we'll start early in the morning. So, all right, guys. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the end of day 144. Today was a little bit of a shorter day. I was trying to make it up to Franconia Ridge, which for those who don't know, you will see when I post videos and pictures. It's basically a long ridge walk above tree line. And if the weather is nice, you have some of the most amazing views that you will get on the entire Appalachian Trail. Since I have wanted to do this trail, that has been one of the biggest areas that I've looked forward to the most. Super excited about it. Gonna try to get up and pack up camp early because the weather's supposed to be nice. There are clouds rolling in, but that's not going to be until like lunchtime, supposedly. It is going to be windy because you're above tree line. So when you get so high up there like that, basically what trees and stuff there are, most don't grow. If they do, they look like little shrubs, just because it's so high up and the wind. Like tomorrow, they're talking gusts possibly up to 45 miles an hour. So it's going to be breezy. That's why you have to really pay attention up here in the Whites, because the weather, you can't play games with the weather. So like Monday, for instance, it's showing storms. That was going to be the day I was going to go up to Mount Washington. So now I'm going to have to adjust my plans and probably not summit Mount Washington until Tuesday. But I have to just keep an eye on the weather. It makes it kind of hard when you don't have the best cell service. So luckily these guys at the huts and all, they pay attention for the hikers. I'm at a campground. As you can see, they have wooden planks. Not easy when you have a trekking pole tent, guys. Took a while, but we got it secured. So it's not windy out yet. So hopefully we'll be good. But yeah, so there we go. That's home tonight. So, it's not too bad. My pack is a lot heavier because I did pack out a bunch of food and I got my cold weather stuff. So, that's just the name of the game, unfortunately. I did get rid of a few things that I haven't been using. Gave it to my parents to take with them when they dropped me off this morning at the trailhead. So yeah, I wish I had a little bit better view. You can see the sun's already starting to go down. Temperature's already starting to drop a little. It's going to drop big time once that thing goes behind that big mountain, which won't be too much longer. Was a little worried about this area. There's been a bear that's been a nuisance in this area. So the caretaker, there's a guy who you have to pay to stay here. You have to pay to stay at the shelters. Or you have to stay at the huts, which are god-awful. They're like $200 a night. So to stay here, they have a pass for through hikers. If you can prove you're a through hiker, which I can with my tag. Cost me $10, and it gives me discounts at some of the huts or some of the spots for food. Sometimes like a free pastry at some of the other huts. Problem is, some of the huts you have to go off trail. And I'm not doing that. But what it also does is any of the other places I stay, it only costs me $5 instead of $15 each time you stay at one. So, that's kind of nice. So I did that. It's one of the things in all the years I've watched the videos of through hikers, I never knew about that until I got here. I never realized how much planning the Whites and the Presidentials take. But mainly the White Mountains and the White Mountain Wilderness. I never realized how much planning it actually takes, because you're pretty much required, like the Smokies, to stay either at a designated tent site or at one of the shelters or at a hut. There are a few sporadic spots where you could pitch a tent. A lot of them, though, you could get in trouble. They actually have signs saying you'll be fined up to $5,000 or 60 days in jail. So, I don't know. You just have to really plan it. And then the weather. The weather's a big thing. Like, this isn't like a little bit like the Smokies, but it's not like the rest of the trail. If the weather's bad, it's bad. You go to a shelter, no big deal. Here, you're above tree line. There's nothing. You're completely exposed to the elements. So, I knew that, but I didn't really. I guess maybe because I never thought I would make it this far. So, I always dreamed I would, but I never thought I would. So now that I'm here, it's like, oh crap, we have to kind of figure this out. My parents, they were with me in the hotel room last night, and I was going over like probably 5 different scenarios for what was going to happen. They want to kind of try to plan to be close by when I make it to Mount Katahdin, which is going to be amazing. But it's hard because you don't really know your mileage, what you're going to do each day. So like tomorrow, for instance, there's 2 shelters coming up. One's only like 7.5, maybe 8 miles away. The other one's right at 12 miles away. That's the one I'm going to push to, is the one that's 12 miles away. Get up early, get a good hike in, see some amazing views. So that's the game plan for that. Sunday, I'm going to work my way down the mountain. So if I can't do the 12, that'll put me in a great position for Sunday to work my way down the mountain, find a stealth camp spot maybe, and then, or I might stay at a hostel because the weather, again, I have to pay attention to the weather because there's storms coming in. It's a cold front coming in through here on Monday. So if it stalls, that's going to change my plans. If it speeds up, that's obviously going to change my plans. So right now, my mom's been keeping an eye on it and letting me know. She said it's looking like Sunday night is when the rain's going to start. So might have to think about, there is a hostel I could stay at. It's $50 in the first night. It's like a membership thing. It's a little different than a hostel, not really a hostel. And then it's $25 each additional night, which isn't that bad. To have a bunk, be out of the elements, especially with the rain coming through, it's going to be a cold front. So just to give you a general idea, Mount Washington, it's the second highest point on the entire Appalachian Trail, and it's up there. And if you have a chance, look up Mount Washington. It's a very fascinating. They have their own weather station up there, weather building, everything. They monitor it. There's actually a website. They have their own website for the weather. And it reports like at least every 30 minutes, it gives you an update. Just for instance, today I looked at it, and at like 11 o'clock this morning, I think, the temperature up there was 45. The winds were up to 35 miles an hour. So you have to really pay attention because a lot of people have gotten hurt or killed in these areas because they're nothing to play with. You can't play around with it. So you have to really, really pay attention to the weather. Where was I going to go with that? So anyway, that's gonna determine the rest of the day. So it's hard to tell my parents, like, people have asked, when are you planning on summiting? Before the end of September, but I just don't know because I knew I was going to slow down up here. I have slowed down some, definitely not doing big days. I think 12 miles, 13 miles has been like the biggest day since I've hit New Hampshire. Maybe a little bit more than that. Before I hit the hard, ever since I hit Smart Mountain, it's been, I think maybe 12 or 13 was the biggest day. Maybe 15, I don't remember. But it's definitely slowing down. And I knew that was going to be the case. So it's definitely a learning experience. But, didn't really have much for views today. It was mostly climbing. Trust me, The views are going to be tomorrow. That's hopefully all the views will be tomorrow. So I'll definitely, I even cleared out extra space on my phone just to make sure I had enough storage, because that's been an issue before. I go to take video and it won't save because I was running low on storage. Don't want to have that happen. But yeah, so that's kind of where we're at right now with the plan. It's going to be crowded on Franconia tomorrow. It's a Saturday. It's a very popular hiking destination, day hikers. This campground, there was only like 1 or 2 people here when I got here, and now there's like whole groups of like teenage, I'm probably like 18-year-old, 19-year-old kids. A bunch of them are cowboy camping on a platform, so good for them. There's like a group of 12 over in the area, the cooking area. They have a designated cooking area, so you don't cook around the campsites because of the bear. But like they have this huge pot. They're making this big thing of pasta or something. I don't know. So anyway, that's cool for them. But yeah, so get up early in the morning, hit Franconia, try to get that 12 miles in. It's like 11 point something, so I just say 12, because there is one blue blaze for Mount Liberty in the morning. I am going to try to do. It's only like a 0.2 or 0.3, but they say the views are gorgeous, so I want to hit that up. But yeah, so now I'm just going to get ready for bed because not much else to do. I don't really have much service, and as you see, sun's going down. So hope everyone has a great weekend. Stay safe, and we'll see you later.